Hello. I saw that message get retracted, Kerry, and I was like, ah! I flippin' saw you, you cheeky little badger. Oh man, how is everyone doing? Sorry for the slightly earlier stream today. I've had about 2.5 hours sleep. I've done an hour gym workout this morning, and my brain is falling out of my backside. So I thought I'm gonna do the stream now. We'll do some logo design and something or other, blah, 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 and then make some progress, hopefully, just before I completely crash out on the sofa or in bed this afternoon. Oh, what a day is it? Yeah. Hope you're having a fantastic Friday and have had a good week. Just me and you right now, Kerry, I think. Oh no, there's a few other people. There's a few other people. We got any lurkers in today? Any Friday lurkers? Oh, right. We'll just give it a minute, let a few people join, and then we'll do a quick recap. This design has changed a lot. Quite a lot of it's happened. Well, no, actually, a lot of it's happened on stream, but there's some stuff that's happened in the last week off stream. And I'm really excited to show you where it's at now. Yeah, it's looking cool. Hey, Andrea. Hey, Marcus Carter. How you doing? I don't believe I've seen you before. Is it your first time here? Don't worry, I've got my coffee close to hand. Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, I've done quite a lot of work on this one so far. So this is a logo that I'm doing for a real human being. We have a big brief there. If you've joined the streams before, you've probably seen this 1,000 times over. And essentially, Jason, aka the Inspired Life, is a teacher and an artist, and he does these drawings of architecture, and he kind of has a very unique style. I'll show you some social links there. If you want to follow him, check out his work. It's a really cool, very distinctive style, kind of very sort of, I don't know how you call it, scribbly, sketchy. Yeah, just really cool. A lot of line work and then these splashes of color, which I love. And he uses pencils, watercolors, drawing pens, just a variety of different mediums and combines them together. And yeah, had some good ideas in the beginning. The pink is a signature color of his as well, so I wanted to try and get that in there somewhere. And just to kind of recap, I mean, wow, some of these ideas are very weird and wonderful. So Jason's also from New York, and as I mentioned, does a lot of sketches based on architecture. So we wanted to try and get a combination of that artistic and architectural element. Oh, and some of the inspiration was very much kind of Da Vinci style drawings and diagrams. So you can see a lot of this very kind of technical, almost blueprint-esque style inspiration here. Your pencil debacle. Oh, wow. Oh, amazing, Marcus. Well, welcome. Despite having next to no sleep, I will try and make this as enjoyable and educational and entertaining as possible. I mean, it's going to be entertaining anyway, just because I'm a complete mess right now and I'm exhausted. So I've got no idea what words are going to come tumbling out of my mouth, let alone creative ideas. But hey ho, we'll see what happens. Oh, I really like this. Okay, so we were trying to represent shadows, midtones, and highlights effectively with some line work and some solid fills. So this was a pencil. So we had a lot of interesting ideas. This one here is very umbrella for Resident Evil, if anyone's played that before. This was an idea that I really liked. I think he does do a bit of photography as well, but that's not the main thing. And it was trying to combine like sunrise with a bridge that ended up being a camera, and it was kind of an idea that got shelved. You can sort of see a bit of inspiration here. And actually, this it's really funny. Actually, we'll get to it. But this idea with the bridge and the sun has actually made its way into the final design, and I'm really happy to see that. This was always the goal, really, to combine the different elements into like a really simplified mark. Andrea's, I need a coffee. Yeah, I got mine, Andrea. I'm halfway caffeinated. I stayed up late. I stayed up talking to Raquel until 6 in the morning and slept for 2 hours. Oh my goodness, you're as crazy as me. I feel like it's a competition now. No, I said I've had 2.5 hours sleep. You said 2 hours. Do I have any advance on 2? Anyone with 1.5 hours sleep? Yeah, I feel like the caffeine's going to keep us propped up today. So yeah, but put a pin in that idea and just remember that when we look at the latest design. We threw down some fonts, all very rough at this stage, and then where on earth did we go from there? This artboard, as you can see, is just a complete. Like, if your artboards ever look like this, don't worry. I think it's normal. It's normal for me anyway. So we've got some more geometric ideas here. We've got like a pencil with a bridge. Very, I guess you could say, minimalist. Yeah, lots of interesting ideas. It's always fun to go back and look at these. This was the original sketch. So I had this other idea of having the word ink, so I, N, and then K, but almost in like a structure itself in a cube. And I think, yeah, trying to visualize this was quite difficult. So what I did was I actually used Illustrator's 3D features to add the letters and set them up with an isometric perspective. And this helped me just wrap my head around how this should frickin' look, because it was giving me a bit of a headache. What font was that? Bitverno. So yeah, we did end up doing something very similar to that. And this is kind of where it started. So we've got the I, N, and the K. And to get isometric precision, we added an isometric grid because, of course, we did. It just makes life so much easier working with like a grid system. And yeah, this was the original version, and we experimented again with some similar styles, adding a few gaps, scribbly texture effect to try and mimic, digitally mimic Jason's real world style. Hi man, coffee and smile is good combination. Yes. Hey Alana, how you doing? How's your week been? Are you winning, Alana? Are you winning? So here you can see, yeah, so this is some of the grid system madness that I use. I can't see anything under that, so I think what I probably would have done was maybe take the 3D version or something like that and just draw over that. Yeah, again, more scribbliness. And that's right. It was looking good, but I feel like I wanted this to look more like a K, a little bit H-like at the minute, but then I wanted to try and get that architectural and more industrial element in there as well. So what we did is we curved it instead. So we created one line here, another line here, and then used the blend tool to create a blend between them. And that means that all of these different lines are all equally spaced apart. So I think we did, yeah. So we then did that down the bottom as well. So a little bit more architectural, structural. Yeah, you can see a bunch of different versions here. And then, yeah, okay. I was looking at this and I was going, why is there a line there? Surely these two parts of the K would be connected. Yeah, I did in fact go and connect that. So that's kind of what it ended up looking like. We threw in some type just to see how it could look. added the lines to the rest of the design as well, just to, again, reinforce that architectural element. Almost try and make it look like parts of a bridge itself. Get the pink in there. Getting the pink in has been tricky, actually. And yeah, that was pretty much where it was left for a few months while I was working on the courses. So the project very much got put on the back burner. It is a project for someone, but I said it's like a, you know, I'll do it and stream the process. So there's that educational angle. Yeah, so it's not like a paid gig or anything, but more than happy to work on this. And it's been an amazing process. And I'm really glad to finally, I think was it this week or last week? Anyway, just pick it back up again and crack on with it. So yeah, the other day, these are my two front runners. I did like this one. Again, we've got bridge architecture, that sort of angle, and then we've got a pencil in here somewhere. So you might be able to see there's a pencil in there. So it's a lot more subtle and symbolic, but it's there. That was the starting point. But I always felt that there was another design that was lurking. Reminds me of Roblox. Oh no. Week's been a bit tough, but I'm good now. Excellent. Well, it's the end of the week. So hopefully you can relax and enjoy the weekend. Dan, say hi to Kat and I. Oh, Liam! Monsieur Cleves! And Madame Kat! Hello, welcome. Good to see you. Liam is the one who I trained with this morning. He is lovely. Kat is also lovely. Together, they are lovely jubbly. Right, anyway, what was I saying? You distracted me now, Liam. Stop it. Stop it, you naughty sausage. Right, so this was another idea. So rough, very crude sketches, if you might have seen this the other week. So again, we've got the idea of I, N, and the K, the N being a bridge. Now, I love this. It's clean and minimal, but unfortunately, a few people said that this bit here looks like someone having a wee, which was really unfortunate. Because once I just can't unsee that now. So we did carry on regardless of those choice bits of feedback. Yeah, played around a bit more. And we kind of had these three ideas. Nobody voted for this one. This was the catastrophically the least popular. These two were pretty popular. And I think Jason quite liked the right one. That's The Inspired Life, remember? A few more tweaks. A lot of people felt that this looked a bit childish with the pencil edition and the pink. I'm kind of inclined to agree. It gives me like almost, if you're in the UK, early learning centre vibes. A little bit. I don't know, yeah. So there's probably, if I wanted to pursue that, maybe a more mature approach to that design. But as it turned out, I ended the stream there, got off stream, and just had another idea. And this was where it started. So I had this lettering idea in my head. I said to, I think I said to Jason anyway. I can't remember what I said, but maybe I said it to myself. I can't remember. But I knew that I wanted to try something more typographically led with lettering. Now, I'm not a lettering person. I'm not a typographer. I've got enough experience to customize existing fonts and do some basic stuff from scratch. And I've also got enough experience to know that it's very easy to screw it up. So I always, when I'm customizing fonts, and if you're new to this kind of stuff as well, I would always just suggest treading very carefully. This was really cool. Love this. Obviously more of a typographic composition illustration than a logo, but it's really interesting to see how this person has treated certain letters. Now, I think this person, just looking at this, knows what the heck they're doing when it comes to lettering. So it was a really good source of inspiration to kind of go, oh, okay, I see what they've done with the T there. Right, okay, so I don't have to copy that, but I can get away with having some swirls in a few choice places. Same with these nice big swirls and a little drop on the end. So it's like, okay, I know what I can get away with. We'll have a play, and we started. I don't think people have seen this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think people on the meetup the other day have probably seen some of this, but I don't think we've streamed this. If I have, then I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. Yeah, exactly. Alana says it looks like an elementary logo kind of thing. Yeah. I haven't slept. I saw the notification, had to hop on. Okay, Alana, you win. No sleep. 0. I'd had 2.5, Andrea was 2, and you are at nil point, whatever that means in whatever language. So this font, yeah, this was a really cool kind of, I love the style of some of these letters. I think there's quite a few different stylistic alternates with this font, so it was good to play around and get something. When I zoom in though, I just hate the lettering. Don't like it. Way too rounded. These kind of bottoms here, they're not flat, they're all curvy corners. So I like the lettering and the lockup, but I was like, I need a different font. Straightened it out, added a few swirls in a few places. Oh no, these are actually part of the font. No. And this is my terrible concept. Using a font that I preferred, and then adding, just kind of trying to visualize where the swirls would go and how the letters would fit together. Obviously, this looks crap. Doesn't matter. It's just kind of giving me an idea of, can this work? Slightly more refined version, but still awful. That's fine. More refined version. Still lots of imperfections, but it's starting to, as you can see, just through those 3 versions, you can see it kind of come together a little bit more. So think of it as like low fidelity, medium, and high fidelity. Adding some lines down the middle, kind of inspired by this. I'm not sure if that technically has a name or if it's part of the lettering process. I got no idea, but I think it looks flipping cool. And just trying to make some connections where I can between letters, and you know, I think after at this point I had a pretty solid basis of, okay, typographically I feel like I can get away with this. Now I'm just going to be a bit more creative. So instead of just having a swirl here and having a regular D, I'm going to take a few creative liberties and just add in a few more and make a few more connections between letters. So from there it progressed quite rapidly. So there's a really cool technique for the drops. In fact, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, wow, that lettering is really cool. This entire word here, the drops on the end, which are fully editable. All of that stuff is my latest YouTube video. So if you want to go and watch that, it's about just under 8 minutes long. It will show you how to recreate this entire word, the, in this sort of style. And it's that same technique applied to all of this. So if you can do that in the latest video, with a bit of time and patience, you can do all of this as well. And then we tried to include a pencil, which I think ended up... No, it still stayed a pencil. It looks a bit weird. It looks like it needs some like little arms or something. I don't know. It just, something about it looks weird. Tried a few different shapes. And then came the circle. So this was the point where it was like, oh, yeah. I love a good bit of design coming out of a circle. Hey, you all right, Raquel? Happy Friday. Da, 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 da. Yeah, pretty much most of this wasn't the pen tool, Kerry. This was all the pencil tool up here. Pencil tool, pencil tool. And this was... I think it started with the ellipse tool to get that precision, that geometric deliciousness. And then I think it probably ended up being customized if I wanted to like have it curl in a bit more, or, you know, I wanted to build on that. That's obviously terrible, but you get the idea. So, you get the main geometric loveliness there, and then if you want to kind of customize it, you can carefully do that. That's why a lot of these, especially these two here, they kind of look very circular. And then, oh no, I think, yeah, it was a bit too swirly, a bit too fancy, and then we kind of opted for a few straight lines. Anyway, let's crack on with this because I'm running out of time. So this design went through many iterations. We tried a more industrial cog style design. We tried getting pink in there. We added a pen icon instead of a pencil, which I love a lot more because it maintains the integrity of the letter I rather than kind of bastardizing it a bit. So I do like that one a lot more. And we've got like a solid version here and a version with those kind of accents inside the letters. And then a very quick and lazy attempt at getting the pink in there. We did have some other versions with trying to get the pink in, but just wasn't sure in the end. And that was where it ended up until, was it yesterday? No, the day before, I think. No, was it yesterday? I got no idea. I actually can't remember. Might have been Wednesday. And I couldn't shake that idea that we looked at. So I started playing around with type and kind of, I had some feedback from Jason that he liked the circular element and I feel like the sort of badge style, but it was too, and I quote, fancy schmancy. So the font choice and I think the swirls with the drops was just a bit too much, not quite what he was looking for. So as much as I like this as a piece of lettering, that's fine. Maybe it'll make a good t-shirt or something, I don't know. So he sent a couple of examples of things that he does like. So kind of these, and here's his existing logo. And this is really good. It kind of gave me a little bit of an idea of style, but also I think it was this one in particular. Now that's not obviously intended to be a bridge, but it definitely gave me kind of slight architectural vibes, bridge-like vibes. And this was an interesting one as well. I think this is the one you pointed out, Raquel, with the letters running in a circle. So that was at the back of my mind. I'm just having breakfast and preparing to go to the tax office to deliver a document. Happy Frisky. Great. Good for you. Oh yeah. So I ended up doing, so I stuck a pencil in a triangle. Again, just trying to bridge that architectural and drawing element. I do quite like this. But I wasn't 100% on the triangle as the shape, so I went back to a circle. Tried getting in some skylines, some waves, water, bridge. Wasn't really sure where this was going. Again, another attempt at pencil and bridge combination. I want a logo for my OnlyFans account. Ha! You're in the wrong place. Right. Oh yeah, this was, yeah, so this is where it started, again, kind of leaning into that circular element and using circles. So you, actually, I don't know what this is looking at it. I think it was intended to be a bridge with the water, and then this is like the pencil, but like a more geometric representation. Tamondo, first time following you live. Excellent. Well, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy it. Low key gives me San Francisco vibes. Oh, yeah, what is it? Golden Gate. Is it the Golden Gate Bridge? Big red one. So yeah, that, I mean, that is like a very, probably too simplified representation of a pencil, because pencils nibs do not look like that. But hey ho. So then I was like, well, okay, the bottom of it has to be pointed, right? If it's going to be a pencil, you've got to point the bottom, which then spawned the location pin. So it's kind of, as you can see here, a very location pin style. And then this was my first attempt at a bridge. And this was intended to be like a sun, but then doubling up as a location pin. So the elements I wanted to get in this design were kind of the artistic element, the travel element, and the architectural element. So bridge, sun, pin, sunrise, sunset, whatever, and then the pencil. And it's kind of like, oh, okay. This idea's got some legs. Bit too pencil-like here. And I can't really remember. I don't really run left to right. These ideas are all over the place. I feel like yeah, because I was working on this as we were bouncing ideas back and forth, Raquel. So I might have started here. I think I added the lines in. So I was like, okay, more bridge-like now. Slight variation on the line weight as well, just so you can see the details a bit more. Otherwise, if everything's the same weight for this design, it just doesn't really work. No, I wouldn't send the AI document. At least not at the moment. Not until it's fully done and finished. Just because I am working on this for someone else. Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, okay. So yeah, when I got to this point, I was like, okay, we've kind of combined the pencil, the bridge, and the travel aspect. There's some legs here. Playing around with type a little bit. There's a lot of words, the inspired life, so it's a lot more wordy. Like if it was just inspired, it would be a lot easier, but that is the name of the game sometimes. We don't always get things just easy and handed on a plate. So sketching the world around you one line at a time. That is Jason's tagline. And then just kind of trying with the type over the top here. Trying to think of interesting ways to get that in there. Obviously, this is great, but you've got to think about the desktop application as well, which would be something like that. You'd have your lettering there alongside. So, you got to consider the different use cases when working on it. A very, again, quick effort to try and get the pink in there. And yeah, I think, Raquel, this was the point when I messaged you and I was going absolutely mad. Oh dear, I was going a bit insane. We've got lettering curved round everywhere. Yeah, you just shout out what fonts you want to see, and there's so many different ones. I think this one is Mont. I think that's a demo font, whatever that is. Yeah. So I don't know what that font is and where I got it from, but this one is Lorano. Korolev. Yeah, that one's definitely more suitable. And what's this one here? A lot of these came from Envato. Brumda and Industry. Yeah, this was kind of cool. A little bit more industrial. Kind of fills that space quite nicely as well. And here you can see a good sort of little showcase of the geometric precision of it all. Yeah, a few more examples. Trying to make it a little bit more badge-like. Using this as inspiration to kind of do something totally different. So, oh, goodness me. So many flipping ideas. But, long story short, this was where I ended up. And it kind of showcases the different aspects. But the problem with this is you can see if you're going for a pencil, it doesn't really line up. Actually, let's do a line. You see here, if this is the line for the pencil, it kind of bends out here a bit too much. So it should really line up there. So I'd have to move this part of the bridge, which kind of breaks everything. So there was a lot of faffery that had to go on. But again, long story short, this is how I got it to work in the end. So you can see that we have the drawing aspect here with the pencil. We've got the travel aspect here. We've got the architectural aspect. And then we've got the completed logo mark. And again, I've enhanced the contrast with the width a bit more. So what's this? About 3, and then this is like, what, 1.5? Yeah. So the main structural elements, they have that thicker 3-point stroke weight, and then any incidental details that aren't part of the main structure of the thing that's being represented, they are 1.5. And it just makes it so much easier to see. Like if I were to select this and just change it all to 3, you can see it does it really clean, but it's harder to distinguish some of the details. Like the pencil stands out so much more with that variation. So this is where I got to. The reception from Jason was very positive, which I'm very thankful for, because I said to him, honestly, that's great, because I'm quite taken with this design, if I'm honest. If it was possible to fall in love with the design, it's nice when a plan comes together. Well, actually, there is no plan, really. I think I was trying to quote the Joker then, but it didn't really work. But it's nice when absolute, complete, unscripted chaos luckily works out in the end. Here's to unscripted chaos. Oh, you involved yourself, Bracco. I ain't dragging no one. I'm innocent. You dived right in. Oh yeah, this isn't. That's Inter at the minute. These are just. These aren't the actual font for the thing. This was just more of a kind of nice visualization to show the thought process and how it all kind of fits together. I think it's very clever. Jason thought it was very clever as well. Yeah, so really happy with that. But obviously, this is just black and white. There needs to be color. Do we get the signature pink color in there? Do we go with the black and gold? So I kind of started playing around with this. A few different colors, a reversed out version that I don't really like that much. Bit of gold. So I need to get a color palette and a theme sorted, because I would like to mock this up on a website header. Just to see how it looks. So obviously this is like, one version. You've obviously got different versions to consider. So this was the font that I started with. This is Psy. It was quite thin, so I've actually added a stroke. A bit naughty, but I've added a stroke to chunk it up a bit. And here I'm using the rule of thirds to kind of define a good size balance between the mark and the type. This is a really cool technique. If you follow James Martin on Instagram, made by James, he does these videos all the time about different ways that you can creatively use the rule of thirds to take some of the guesswork out of design. Another really good rule of thumb as well is if you're trying to figure out what this gap should be here, just take the average weight of one of your characters. So a lot of my characters here, very similar weight. We'll just grab the P. That's a terrible box, but just use that. If you're not sure, have that as kind of like a benchmark, a ballpark, a thing, whatever, words. I don't know. That sort of thing instead of maybe the eye. That would be way too close. You can go a bit closer or further away. Obviously, you can use your eye if you want to. But if you're just not sure, sometimes it can be a good idea. I might even actually just nudge that a little bit closer. Now I'm looking at it. And let's make these look more guide-like. Cyan. Oh, no, we can't really see that. Can you see that? Okay, we'll go with a bit more blue. So it's a really good way of taking out some of that guesswork. Now this is like a landscape version, and then of course we'd need to perhaps consider like how a vertical version would look. And then maybe a version with the tagline. And then maybe we would have a badge version that has the name running around the outside like we did before. So different applications for different use cases. I do quite like this as well. So we've got the tagline going around the outside, and then you've got the Inspired Life name inside. So we could actually just, I could just go and grab that actually. So yeah, when you're designing, all these things definitely need to be considered. Like it's no good working on like a logo that's really heavily vertical in its orientation and then trying to fit that into a website without having considered it before. It can be an absolute nightmare. I want to see the final logo as well. Rianne! She has returned to us. It's been, how long's it been? It feels like forever. It's probably only been like a week or a few days. Oh yeah, made by James. Yeah, yeah. I've learned lots of little kind of bits and pieces from his shorts on Instagram. I try not to spend too much time on Instagram these days, but usually when I do go on there, one of his videos will pop up and it's like, oh wow, thanks for that. I learned something in like 30, 40 seconds. It's interesting as well to see the rule of thirds be applied in something outside of photography and with it have so many different applications. You know, you could have rule of thirds, and then even within that you could have another rule of thirds, and that could dictate your tagline distance. So you could have your tagline within this space here. It's interesting, and you don't have to use it as like a rule, but like I say, it could just take some of that guesswork out, especially if you're new to design. Right, what was I doing with this? Oops. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna have to make that a lot smaller. And we're gonna have to drop that stroke down quite considerably. So normally I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't add a stroke to the text. But as long as it doesn't screw it up typographically, and I kind of know a lot of things of what I'm looking for, especially when it comes to like a sans serif font, it's a lot easier than something like a cursive font or serif or whatever. Yeah, it's all right. It's fine. So things like this, you know, you want the S should be bulging a little bit above other letters like the P and the I and the R. So that's when you add a stroke and it's central, it does maintain that. But obviously it pushes the letters closer together. So then you've got to increase the tracking to just spread them apart a bit more. So yeah, wouldn't be my first choice, but I don't have any other weights. So this font has left me no alternative. Yeah, I usually delete Instagram off my phone when I'm not using it. I only install Instagram to use it and then I delete it. I just, yeah, wasted too much of my time on that platform. The same with Twitter. I literally don't even go on Twitter anymore. It's just well, it's full of a lot of things. I won't get into that now. What pairs well with a sans serif? Well, it's interesting. Good question. You could pair other sans serifs with it, different weights, again with sans serif, or you could do something completely different. And you would then get that contrast between two different fonts. I'll show you an example in a sec. Actually, no, I'll show you now. So let's just say, let's not go with Rolex. Let's go with the knockoff brand, Schmolex. So I need a tagline. We'll go with Baskerville because it's just the first easy font that comes into my brain. Schmolex looks amazing, very expensive. And sans serif, we'll pick literally just another one that comes off the top of my head. We'll go with a bolder weight. We'll bring it down. Too fancy for your pantsy. There we go. Fantastic tagline. What more could you possibly want? And then just bump the tracking. Bumping the tracking is a very quick and easy way to just make things look more expensive and premium, especially when it kind of comes to something like this, like, you know, jewelry or fashion or whatever. Watches. And there's a lot more we could do with that. But that's just one quick example. In fact, let's just get rid of some words so we can make it a bit bigger. Let's just really fancy pantsy. There we go, just so we can get a bit more size out of it. And that's just one example of how you could pair two different styles together. If I were to change this to Baskerville as well, and we'll go with a different weight. You could say that's a little bit too small and harder to read at smaller sizes, but you can see it's fine. It works fine, but sometimes having that contrast can be a bit more interesting. And we could even reverse it as well. Why not? Let's reverse it. So what was that? Was it outfit? I think I used. We'll go super mega bold. Again, you can see sans serif, bold, lighter, smaller. They work as well. You know, I think with sans serif, you've got to be careful sometimes because it can be quite generic and forgettable. There's a lot of brands that just sort of type in, oh, there we go, brand, and done. And it looks very, very unmemorable. Let's switch this to Baskerville and we'll just swap these little beauties around. So you can see they can work, but they do when you have one font that's like the brand name or the more prominent text a certain way. I feel like with a lot of designs, one or the other will typically work a little bit better, you know? Yeah, what's the pen tool, Kerry? Golden ratio number 1.618. Really useful for type as well. By the way, if you're enjoying this, I do have an Illustrator masterclass, which I think is linked in the description. I go into logo design, rule of thirds, golden ratio, blah, 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 all that stuff. There's a whole module on logo design. Not to mention typography and logo types and drawing custom letters, blah, 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 blah. If you like designing custom fonts, there's a lesson for that. Loads and loads of stuff, but I won't go on about that. It's linked below if you want to find out more. What was I going to do? Damn it, brain, you were going to do something. I got into promo mode then, and I totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, they can do. I think with scripts as well, I would always sort of try and be more cautious because sometimes script fonts can be especially fancy. And you can run into problems like, you know, let's just draw my own. We're going to go Schmolex, and you get the letters and they're all kind of over the place like that. And what you find is that you don't really get a consistent baseline. So the baseline, again, we go into typography terminology and blah, 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 blah in the course. The baseline is kind of what this is effectively. So, oh, come on, Dan, draw a straight line for goodness sake. That is the baseline, the line that your text sits on. And when you have these more cursive, script, elegant, fancy fonts, your baseline kind of does this, which is extra space that you've got to factor in because it then creates these odd pockets of space here and here, and so then you can try and move it closer, but then the lettering crashes into things, and so not impossible, but sometimes you have to Tetris your design into that space. And obviously I'm just making this up as I go along, but you can see there you have to get a bit more creative and work around some of the lettering. Anyway, let's get rid of this rubbish. So with this one here, I do like this font, but I want to customize it a bit. There's one letter I'm not massively crazy about, and that's the K. This part of the K. I can't remember what that part's called, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to change it. So I've got this nice, perfect quarter segment here for this bridge, and I want to try and get that in. So this is what I was talking about earlier with I'm experienced enough to know that if I do this wrong and I start trying to get too crazy and draw my own custom letter S, it's probably going to end up looking terrible. And sometimes you don't even need to do custom fonts for a logo, just customizing, or you're just using an existing font, but the right font, or customizing it a little bit is going to be so much better in terms of an end result than trying to draw it all custom from scratch and screwing it up typographically, you know? Like even if you said to me, Dan, draw a serif font from scratch, I'd probably nail it in the end, but I would spend a lot of time obsessing over it, looking at references of other similar serif typefaces that will help inform my decisions, because I don't know what I'm doing. Like when it comes to intricate typography, you know, that's just not my background. Exactly, yeah, Carl. It gives a different vibe. Fonts and font pairing is another kind of worms. Right, so I was thinking about this in the car earlier, funnily enough. So when it comes to picking fonts, even people who I know who aren't designers, but I can tell they've got like a good eye for creativity and they can do some bits and pieces. Even stuff in Canva or whatever. Like I know a lot of people that use Canva who aren't designers, and they do fine until they get to fonts. And I see this with non-designers using fonts and a lot with beginner designers as well. So, you know, we've not done a design review for a long time, but on design review, that's the thing I see kind of upset really good creative work the most is the implementation of type. So it could be choosing the wrong font, the wrong font weight, color. It could, or the contrast as well. It can be the alignment. It could be the spacing between the logo and the tagline. And it can totally like completely upset what is like a really good design. Like sometimes you'll see like a really good logo mark and then the type just doesn't match. It's a complete mismatch. And a lot of the time it's actually like a really easy fix. You know, a lot of times I'll see something like this. Now I look at that and my brain's like, you've got to center it and it's way too close. So all you got to do is center it and then just give it a little bit of space, a little bit of room to breathe. So that's the good news is, you know, there's lots of stuff you can, you know, look at rule of thirds and all this crap and get overwhelmed. But a lot of times with logo design, especially if you're a beginner or you're someone who doesn't really know what they're doing when you're choosing fonts, you're just going, oh yeah, I like that one. That looks nice. I love that. Just stick with the simple fonts. You know, you could stick with Arial. You know, you could make Arial look flipping expensive with the right treatment. Maybe not green. Yeah, probably even white actually. White off black. And or you could do something like this. You could add a box around it. And it's kind of, I know it runs counterintuitive to counter something counterproductive, counterintuitive. I know basically it's contradicting what I said earlier. I can't remember what it was I said earlier, but I think I said it, whatever it was. Anyway, especially if you're new to design. Obviously, you can get into typography and it's super important, makes a massive difference, and you want to customize things and be unique. But if you're not sure what you're doing, you can play it safe and you can actually create something that looks much better. Like to me, this is if that was a logo, for example, that is going to look a lot better on a website header or just in general look a lot more professional than something that is poorly implemented, that is maybe too close or that is misaligned. Do you know what I mean? Like you could do something like that. Arial look pretty decent. So the point I'm trying to make is before you start picking all these weird and wonderful fonts and putting all your stock into picking the right font, there's lots of other things like spacing, alignment, playing with the tracking, the leading, which is the space between the lines. Those things I'd say are just as important, if not demonstrably more important, in terms of nailing the technical execution. Does that make sense, or am I just rambling? Are these the ramblings of a madman? Must the logo indicate what the brand does? No, not at all. Not at all. I think Chris Doe's talked about this a lot, so I know he would offer a much better explanation than me. But you know, it can do. You know, if you have a coffee brand and you've got a coffee cup and a coffee bean and it's all smoky and lovely, nothing wrong with that at all. But I think it can go deeper than that. It can be more about what people see and how they perceive the brand when they see not just the logo, but when they interact with it at different touch points. So, you know, it's the logo, it's the color, it's the website, it's the business card, the, you know, store POS, printed material, the app. It's the whole kind of sort of feeling and everything that it evokes and that perception that it creates. Is that a reasonable definition or explanation? So it doesn't have to be like it always be a literal, like even this one here, you know, what did we have? We had Schmolex. And you could actually, arguably, you could look at a lot of fashion brands. Look at a lot of fashion brands. They don't really have, you know, like t-shirts and things in the logo. That's probably the easiest example off the top of my head. Or Schmolex, and then we've got like a really weird illustration of a watch. The type does a lot of the heavy lifting. Anyway, we're done with Schmolex. I call this bouncy fonts. Sorry, I'm catching up on the chat. That K is the best part. I'm going to make it better, in my opinion. And that the reason I'm going to do this is not because I know better than the person who created the font, but because what I want to do is I just want to include that perfect geometry from the mark. And I feel like this is almost so close to being that I could change it and get away with it. I don't think it's going to typographically screw anything up. I hope. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste this and nudge it out. And put some different music on. Let's put some Death Stranding 2 music on. Bit of Woodkid. I think I've had enough of heavy metal today. It's like, with the headphones on, it's like shouting in my brain. Yeah, brand values, target audience, what the business is, the brand mood, etc. Yeah, it's as we say in the UK, big old kettle of fish. Envato fonts are my savior. Oh, there's so many. Rianne, I just wish you could preview them. I would love to be able to preview them. Yes, we need to do a design review as well. We do. Oh, that's funny. One of the simplest logo designs I've seen is the Corn Hub logo. Yeah, literally, like there's so many logos out there that I mean, a lot of fashion brands as well. It's just caps, sans serif, boldish. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but oh, like I don't know, just Burton's. What other ones are there? A lot of men's ones just literally look like this. Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head. I mean, Superdry is just. I love Superdry, by the way, but it's just a typed font or custom lettering or whatever. But it's just nothing. You know, there's no crazy logo mark or anything. Oh yes, kerning as well. Don't let me forget kerning. Naughty Dan, not you, me. Dansky, you are funny, man. I'm watching your life. Learn more about your logo from your teaching. Funny or funny looking? I'm leaning towards the latter. Does it? It's OnlyFans use a script font. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up now. Just purely out of curiosity, purely for research. Poppy, if you're watching, this is just for research. No. No, only. Oh, I don't like that. Is that really? Is that actually the OnlyFans logo? I'm sorry, I gotta show you this. This is shit. I mean, that is just. I mean, it just this is just Twitter, right? It just literally feels like OG Twitter. What? I'm on the right site, aren't I? It feels like a mistake. I feel like I've just gone back in time to Twitter before it was X or whatever it is now. But yeah, this just feels. It feels just typed. The mark feels too small in comparison to the lettering. I'm not a massive fan of the mark. I see what they're going for. You got the O and the F. You've kind of got this two-tone implementation, but if you printed this in black and white, you know, I think better logos kind of work with just they can stand alone as a single color. And if you had this as a single color, let's get rid of this. If we had that as a single color, you know, it's just gonna look like that. Obviously, that's a terrible drawing, but do you see what I mean? You don't get that distinction between the O and the F. So even that, typographically, even the balance between the mark and the type is off, in my opinion anyway. But what do I know? Smolex could be a great name for Drano. I don't know what Drano is, but... Car brands. Yeah, maybe we should do a stream. Someone said about doing football logos the other day, like football clubs. Football club logos, car brand logos. I mean, I would love to do that. I've always got a lot to say about everything. So, as Poppy will tell you. What's your most used fonts? Well, I'm the wrong person to ask, really, because I've kind of got my brand fonts that I use now. So at the moment, I'm using a lot of Inter for like my body copy on my site. I do a lot of design work like for myself and the websites, courses, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm using, what am I using? This one. The bold one. This is like the headline font. And then the fallback for that, for like email and stuff, is good old Montserrat. So very, very, very similar. But there's just a few characters, S in particular, that I like a lot more on this one. And it's got a ton of different weights, just like Montserrat. But so yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask because I do a lot of design for myself now. Although I am working again with people now, which is nice. So if you do have a logo or a brand identity in particular that you are looking to have done, let me know. I miss having a project to That's why I've loved this project here, working on this for Jason, because it's just something you can really like get your teeth into. And oh, I love me a good logo. Does it ever work to have a more complex illustrative style? Like if you have a streetwear brand, could you have a graffiti style logo? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure you could find plenty online as well. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but yeah, you know, my logo design style, my favorite style is this sort of stuff. Simple, clever. This is why I loved your thicker logo for that competition ages ago, Rianne. It was just like combines X, Y, Z, and boom. And I always like that. I like it when you see a lot of people break their logo down as well. In this sort of way, you know, you have all the elements and then they kind of come together. So clever, simple, and clean is kind of my style. But if you are working for, what was it, a streetwear brand, yeah, maybe that isn't really the play. You know, kind of like when you get tattoos. You know, there's some people who do amazing tattoos, and I've got a friend who's got some great body art, but it's not really my style. Mine's more kind of realism. So I would go to a tattooist that kind of specializes in that style. To be fair, no one looks at the logo on OnlyFans. That's true. Yeah, they probably just threw it together in 5 minutes. Shut up, Dan. What logo? Oh, I've had a few logos. Yeah, I think the first one was Dansky with a smiley face, and the tagline was "Just be yourself." That's literally how I started YouTube, just basically being an idiot. And then 10 years on, no, 11 years on, I can still count. I'm still an idiot, so not a lot has changed. I'm just now a professional idiot. No promotion, please. Don't worry, I'm not going to promote my OnlyFans. Only Dan's. Ooh, Royal Mail. Yeah, that's a really good shout, actually, Rianne. This is oh God. No, that's not right. What is this? Hang on, there's a few different versions. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the eye. I was about to that eye. That's not correct, right? That was triggering. That was. It's all right. It's calm down. I thought they'd treated the eye differently just because why not? Yeah, I see what you mean. I think that the lettering is, you know, you could have opinions on the lettering. It could be fine, whatever. But yeah, this bit here, the crown, just that is very much in need of a royal overhaul, you might say. Something clean and minimal. Yeah, that could look really cool actually. Another one that I quite like that when I see it, I think it's this one, the Peugeot logo. What's the before? Oh, we've got the whole evolution here. Yeah, okay, we're not going to go back to 1840. Not sure what they did back then because cars weren't invented. Oh, that's interesting. Right, so when I think Peugeot, because I had a Peugeot many, many moons ago, this is what I'm thinking of. And then I like the new Peugeot logo. I would change a few bits, a few curves. I would clean it up a little bit. But actually, it's very reminiscent of the 1960s logo. In fact, I think some of the curves in the 1960s logo. Actually, yeah, no, I've just gone off. I take back what I said. I've just immediately gone off that. This is really cool, but it feels like they've tried to be too modern and too angular, and I think it looks a bit crap. Like let's break this down, right? Oh no, just it just feels like there's too many widths and too many curves and things that are treated a bit inconsistently. And I feel like they could still have the geometric element, but like what is right? Maybe this is just me being grumpy. So tell me to shut up if I am being a grumpy bum. But like this could be such a sexy curve. And then here, oh, and then here, and then we're coming in and we're getting that main kind of like the 1960s logo. But instead they've gone boop. I don't know. It echoes the curves of the car design. Okay. I mean, admittedly, I own a Corsa, so. Hey, Bassetto. Yes, exactly. Yeah, a crown and an envelope would make sense. In fact, you could do that. You could do that pretty cleverly, couldn't you? Like a crown and an envelope. So if we just envelope this, there we go. We're just going to redraw Royal Mail's logo right here. You've already got like... I mean, look, you've already got a crown sort of in there. It's just, I mean, this is crude as heck. Do, 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 do. Are you separate? You're not separate, are you? You need to be though. Crown. So we want zig. Mm-hmm. Let's get rid of Dan's list. Going on a right old royal tangent now. Is this your fault, Rianne? You have a habit of hijacking this stream, or I have a habit of letting you hijack the stream. You're flipping hijacker. Yeah, I mean that is somewhat crap, but I feel like you can see there's an idea there. You got your crown and you got your envelope. I don't know. I'm sure we could make it work. This is an early stream. Yeah, Nick, I've only had like 2.5 hours sleep this morning. Thundercats. Oh, Thundercats. Oh. Yeah, Dan, right. So okay, yeah, that's what I see. I see a bad image trace. I'm sure it's probably more intentional than that, but I don't know. Maybe that's my own bias and preference towards certain designs. Anyway, I gotta customize this. So we're gonna convert this to curves. We are going to expand the stroke. And we're going to do this for each letter individually, just unite it all together. Just so I can adjust the letters if I need to. So just so you can see what's happening, we've got all these shapes and craziness. We're just uniting them and it's just, whoops. We're just individually merging this into their own letters. I hope you get a nap. No, I have tried to structure the streams on set days, but I'm just too unpredictable. I try and fit them around, like with work and life and kids and family and gym and everything else going on. I never know where I'm going to be half the time. So I think I know a schedule would be a lot easier, but I operate better without a schedule. Sometimes like you've probably seen at the weekend. Sometimes I'll go live at the weekend just because I'm feeling creative and I got a bit of a buzz and I'm like, sod it, I'm going to design something. Let's go live. And sometimes I'm just like, I do not want to be on camera. I want to hide in a cupboard and close the door and hide from the children. So I think I'm the same with everything, really. I think when things become when my sort of creativity becomes routine, it becomes too much of like a treadmill of stuff. Do you know what I mean? It used to be like Tuesday and Thursday. We usually typically do like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, a couple times a week, but it's been a busy old week. And I have an itchy ear. I like the K. All right, well, I'm going to customize it and we'll see if you still like the K once I'm finished with it. Anyone else playing Death Stranding 2 or just me? Flipping love the music. Woodkid is just so talented. All right. So what I'm going to do now, I need to draw another piece here. Obviously, this is all a shape with a fill. So I'm going to first match the stroke weight. So we're getting into the nitty gritty of multiple decimal points. Once I learn the exact stroke weight, I can now draw new pieces. So I can draw a perfect arc, hold shift, and then 5.43 is the same weight. So now I don't want to start screwing this up because obviously I've got to respect the cap line here. So, and I don't want to, I got to be careful because if I pull this too far out or too far in, I'm going to adjust the width of the letter. So I'm going to keep that level there. I'm going to push it a little bit further. So we're kind of in the same ballpark. And I don't want to do this. I want to have the full curve in there. So I'm actually going to pull this part here of the K a bit higher up. I think typographically I can get away with that. It's kind of almost like doing this with the letter E. You know, stylistically you could get away with it, or you could push this part of the P up. I'm obviously going to screw this up now, but you know what I'm trying to do. Just push it up a bit higher. So I feel like I can do that. I've just got to nudge this out, delete the existing points. Exactly. All work makes Jack a dull boy. Right, before I do that, actually, I missed something out. I need to do this part of a K as well. So we're going to just do a straight pencil down here. Make sure we match the angle. You can see, got it a bit off there. So we're going to use the rotate tool. Yeah, that's pretty good. We've got to put it in the middle then. So we are eyeballing this, but it's going to be more than sufficient. I would challenge anyone to try and spot the difference once I'm done with it. So we've got that line. We're just going to use the eyedropper tool to sample the correct stroke weight. And then we need to add the glorious white box. I can't believe I'm still able to speak. Can we just take a minute to appreciate the fact I think I'm making more sense than normal. What is this when you get so tired? Is it like a second wind or something? You just, I don't know. What was in this coffee? Still got half of it left. How am I making more sense than normal? Oh, look, Poppy has joined. Da da da. Just don't mention the OnlyFans logo that we were looking at. OnlyFans what? Okay, right. Now I can move this out. Oh, too many Ks. Yeah, right. Yeah. What's in your coffee? Just caffeine, Kerry. All the caffeine. So we're going to pop this back in, match the color. And then I'm just going to extend this in outline mode. Yeah, I don't want to do this. I got to keep that pink smart guide there. Ah, that's annoying. That's a little bit annoying. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check the angle here. Is this the same angle as the N? No, it's not. Okay, if it was the same angle, I would be wary of changing things and screwing it up. So what I might do is, rather than kind of, if I move it closer or wider, I could typographically screw things up. But if I just pull it in, so that kind of goes to a fine point, we're not actually adjusting the width of the character or anything. There we go. So we're just changing that angle ever so slightly, and we're just pulling the height up a little bit. In fact, we could. Actually, no, I feel like that's a bit too high and a bit too steep now. So maybe I will pull that down a bit. Again, everything I'm doing is not kind of going past, like, we're not messing this up. You know, the letter is still extending as far as it was before. So we're just trying to find a balance, really. Do I like that? I don't know, actually. I thought I'd like it more than that. Maybe it's the height. Let's have another play. Oh, that is quite nice. Yeah, and you just sort of get that quarter segment in that kind of mirrors the bridge a little bit. What do you think? The font is CY. That was a pen tool in your copy, exactly. Oh, I can't tell. Do I like that or not? Let's shrink it down a bit. And what I'm going to do is then move it down and then just add a little bit on top. Oh yeah, maybe that is a bit better. Just having that little bit, a bit extra on the top there, just brings this area here a little bit lower, kind of more in line with this one. So let's, got a bunch of K's now. Let's move those over there. We'll slot this one back here. So then we're looking at these two. So we've got the bottom one is the K that comes with the font, and then the top one is my new K. So which one do you prefer, top or bottom? And honestly, be honest. Don't worry about my feelings. It's fine. The line thickness on all these letters are exactly the same. Top, top, top. Are you sure? Are you just being nice? Are you all just being really kind? Right, Rianne says top. Okay, you're definitely all being kind now. What's the difference? The K. So the K down here, that's the only letter I'm not crazy about. And I wanted to get a perfect arc in here to kind of mirror that perfect arc from the logo mark. It's a tiny little detail, but it's just one of those little things that if I'm not crazy about a letter and I can build a little bit more synergy between the mark and the type at the same time, it's a win-win, you know? I get to get rid of a letter or change a letter that I'm not in love with. I can make sure I don't screw it up typographically, which I think it's fair to say I've done. I've not like altered the kerning or anything at all, actually. You know, the distance here is still the same here. This bit here is pretty similar, and I've not touched this, so we haven't messed anything up on that front, which you've got to be careful of when you start customizing letters. But we've just tied it into the mark a little bit more. Down is weird. Oh yeah, Kerry says bottom. Shut up, Kerry. I can't tell if you're serious or if you're just trolling at this point. The bottom looks like a cut off R, yeah. And obviously, again, like everyone's going to have their own personal preference on what fonts they do and don't like. I do this a lot. I will download a font and I'll go, oh, I love the whole thing, but there'll be one letter. Like it will have a crazy W or a really weird G with a weird loop. And it's like, ugh. If you're using it for a logo, it's not too bad because you can then go and customize it. It's kind of worse when you've got to use it as like body copy for something and you can't just go and change every instance. Yeah, I thought you'd get your own back. You know, I'm always honest, 100%. Yeah, I think someone else said as well it looked like a bit of an R. I can't remember. So if we were to drop this, let's go and plonk this in. I think we'll conclude the K is done. So these are strokes at the minute. I'm not going to need to change that width, so we'll just expand it now. We could, yeah, let's combine it. Let's confidently combine this, and then we'll subtract the white shape. So now we have our brand new K, and we've not, you can see here, we've not messed up the baseline or anything. We're still typographically pretty sound, I think. And if we, these are really cool, actually. These are just 3 lines grouped together, and you really can kind of, when you group them, you can move them around and resize them, and you really just can go like full rule of thirds madness with everything. Right, I'm feeling a bit claustrophobic with all this surrounding everything now. So let's get rid of you, and put this one. I don't even know where we're going. I think I need to find some space now. We're going to go over here. I need space. Okay, right. This is where to carry on, Dan, you pleb. Kiddos, you ready to get your shoes and socks on? Cheers. Poppy's going to be like, where are you, Dan? Catch you later, Rianne. Right. Okay, so, well, We had a good recap. I would love to stay around and keep working on this. Because I didn't actually get to do any of the color palette stuff at all. Oh, I didn't get to do color palettes. Park. Oh my goodness. Can you stop yelling? Right. Eli? That's my serious face, that is. I've got to 38 and I don't like loud noises. God, it's looking at me. It's looking at me. Yeah. Come on. Go on. Go in there. Gooseberry. Flipping munchkins. Leo, you want to shut the door? Oh, okay. Amazing Raquel. Ooh. I will have a look at that. Yeah, so I feel like typographically, it can be very easy to pick a sans serif font. There's a lot of very similar ones, but this one really stood out to me because of the K and the S as well. I love this, the way the kind of S has these almost like cuts at a consistent angle. And the K has the curve of the bridge, but now it's been customized. It just feels like it fits a bit more, and then we're using similar sort of space for one of the letters as that gap between the mark and the type. Now, we've ignored the fact that there are actually more words to get in as well. Oh, how I'm going to do that, that's another question. Let's grab you. So I've got the editable font here still, so I can type the word there. Nope. The ink-inspired link. I don't know what that is. Yeah, so this is going to be the next thing. It's trying to figure out how to do this. Do you stack it all in 3 lines, or do you have it 1 line? Do you have it all the same font? Or do you have different weights? Do we do different fonts? Different sizes? Lots of other considerations that need to happen. So here, this is the original font without any alterations. So I think the mark is pretty much nailed down for this design anyway. And it's just working on the type and then the colors. I don't think colors should be too difficult. Let's expand that. So what I can do here is I can expand this, take the height of the I, for example, copy that height and paste it. All of these letters have the same baseline and cap line, so I can line all of this up with precision. And then we're going to have to do the spacing manually, something like, whoa, not too much. And when kerning and doing spacing, zooming out is just great as well. It's really helpful to kind of get that bird's eye view. All right, the sausage. Let's see how the spacing is. Yeah, that's a bit better. I think my spacing was a bit too tight before. Cool. So then it becomes, you know, do you have 2 different treatments? You've got one, which is the main logo there, and then maybe this one is the website to kind of fit in that narrower space. And then how does a version look like this? Lots of different considerations that need to happen. And yes, it's tricky with the 3 words, but not impossible. Let's group you together. Oh, I need to go. God damn. So we could do a centered version. We could do a slight offset version as well, which could be kind of cool. With this, I would always try and line it up to stuff as well. I mean, I love a little bit of alignment if I can get it working. So what I mean by that is I would do something like this. See here with the N? I'm just trying to get something like that. So if I can get each word balanced, coming in from the left and right, the same sort of distance, and then line it up as well. It's just a bit of icing on the cake. And that's a bit more interesting. You know, how does that look with the mark? Consideration, does it stack? Not really. Not very well. So yeah, different applications are definitely something that needs more time and consideration. What do you think for that lockup, just as an example? If it were to look like that with the kind of left, right offset and then the mark alongside. Normally with logos, I'm very much like a left align or a centrally aligned kind of person. Yeah, don't know. Any tattoo inspired fonts? Oh, I'm sure there's plenty. I can't think off the top of my head though. Hope you get a nap. Oh, I'm sure I'll crash out at some point later. First time in your stream. Damn, what I was missing. Hey, excellent. Well, hopefully we'll see you in the next one. We do these. I mean, what are we doing this weekend? I mean, if I can get one in the weekend, I will try and sneak one in because I would absolutely love to carry on with this. I'm thoroughly enjoying this process and I'm enjoying it even more with you guys coming along, and you know, the amount of ideas that, you know, a lot of this is you as well feeding ideas in, which is just amazing. It's fun and it's really helpful and it's very much appreciated. So yeah, if I can get some time to work on this, I will spin up another stream. The offset is good. Okay, interesting. The thing is that we have more empty space at the bottom. What, you mean this bit here? Yeah, it does. It does create some weird pockets. I think I would probably benefit from mocking this up actually. This is probably the point in the process where I would not just mock it up for like a client. I would mock it up for me so I can actually see if it works or not. Because looking at it just flat 2D on screen in Illustrator is quite different to actually, hey Dan, this is how it's actually going to look when it's printed. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not going to get into it now, but there's other structural elements that you could introduce. So if I were to just muck around for a second, you know, it looks all left and right and off center and whatever. But if I were to introduce some other lines or like a box around it or another container, suddenly that can help with the alignment. So, whereas at the minute, all of this is kind of floating in these sort of weird, strange spaces. So when you add like a container around it, your eye is like drawn to lining that up, rather than just focusing on all these gaps that become more obvious when you don't have like some sort of containing device. Does that make sense? Oh, thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Do a little. That's my heart. Zoom out. Oh, scary. I think, well, it depends on the project. Like, you know, and like I say, there's a difference between me mocking something up for a client. It depends what their business is. I think like a lot of Jason's is online, so a lot of the mock-ups would be more kind of, digital and maybe social media oriented, as opposed to, lots and lots of print stuff. Um, but I think sometimes when you're working on a design, it would be helpful for me to go and look at other logos and try and find something similar, logo designs that are very wordy and how they've treated handling multiple words. This can be really good for inspiration, and I've not really done that yet. I've put a lot of time into the mark itself. So the type lockup, I would probably benefit from a bit more inspiration and some ideas of other logos that work well with like 3 or 4 words. Cool, 4 words, crikey. Yeah, and just maybe a website header mock-up, and some other mock-up. Yeah, definitely like a portrait. Yeah, a website header and then like a portrait stacked mock-up, how it would look if you've got like more of a square space for the logo, or a social media profile. So if you did have like a circular thing for an avatar or whatever, how does the logo look in there? Do you have the text? Do you have the mark? I don't know. These are all questions that I've got to figure out answers to. So yeah, sometimes when you know, maybe if I were to kind of, I probably will do this actually, just do like a quick website thing and go, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll do a social media thing. And then we've got the cover image here, something like that. And then as I'm working on these designs, I can just drop them in and go, oh yeah, actually, yeah, that looks really cool. Or no, needs to be centered. So rather than just kind of working blind and making assumptions, I'm actually, as I'm working on the different designs and ideas, I'm dropping them into where they're going to be used and checking if they're actually suitable. So the favicon, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really care much about the favicon 32 pixels. I'm really not bothered about that, in all honesty. It's definitely lower on the priority list, but it is a good test in some ways as well. It is a really good test, I guess, when you're seeing your logo that small. Can you still make it out? Oh yeah, the stream the stream title was like, I don't care, we're just going live, whatever. Type some words, blah blah blah. Right, I need to go now because Poppy is going to be thinking, Dan, where the hell are you? Oh no, hang on. Wait a second. Well, this is a bit of a curveball. Slight change of plan. She's at work at the minute. Someone wanted to do a walk-in lash lift. So can we meet in a bit? We'll fill you in as soon as she pops in. Oh. Maybe I don't have to go. Oh, that was half an hour ago. She might be doing the treatment now. No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, she won't be long. I don't think lash lifts take very long anyway, and I could benefit from some sunlight and more caffeine. Yeah, really tiny, like 32 pixels squared. Little micro logo. How do you keep yourself creative every day, especially when you're not feeling creative? Any advice? Oh yeah, it's hard because like it was a real problem when I was a lot earlier in my career. Like the first 2 years of my career, most of it was spent at a small print and design company, and we did work from ranging from global brands to, Sarah's sandwich shop round the corner and John's Butchers or whatever. obviously very different budgets, different expectations, different time frames to design things, and different levels of quality to kind of match that. So um yeah, it definitely was sometimes a challenge to just come up with ideas, especially when you finish one design and then you've got a deadline for another one, and it's like, straight on to the next one. Whereas nowadays I do a lot less client work. I've started taking on projects again now, just a limited number, so I just love it. I miss it. But it's more educational stuff. So a lot of the designs I'm doing is stuff related to the YouTube channel or my courses or my business or whatever, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't really know. But even working on this actually, I've not I've not been looking up lots of inspiration really. Yeah, like I really haven't been looking online at loads of different designs and going, wow, that's cool. And that a lot of this, especially in the beginning, we just did on stream. And like I grabbed a few examples of styles that I thought were really cool. But it's just kind of, I think a lot of it started in Photoshop as well, just scribbling and sketching ideas and just seeing what came into my head. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I definitely noticed that my creativity improved a lot more, like I don't know, probably like 5 years ago or something. I just when I stopped listening to like any news, like mainstream news, politicians, or any bullshit and all the noise, and even social media to a big extent as well. When I cut that out of my life and just cut out all the noise and the crap, I obviously I found myself feeling a lot happier, but that then led to me being more creative. And when I take time away from the computer and I go and sit in a field, for example, like if I go and sit in a field with a coffee and just find a little bench or something and do nothing, not even look at my phone or anything, my brain like starts to come alive. It's like almost like sort of disconnecting from everything, reconnects me to myself in, I don't know, some weird way. And I suddenly get all these crazy ideas like, oh yeah, I could do that and I could do this. And not even just creative ideas, like business ideas or, something to add to a course or whatever. So I think sometimes, yeah, getting away from the technology and the noise of everything and just getting outside, touching grass, if you will. Like, yeah, you know, just having a break and recharging or doing something completely different. Because, yeah, I mean, I could tell you now, if I went and had a holiday, right, for 2 or 3 days, and let's say I didn't take my computer in some alternate universe where I don't think about work, if that happened, I would get very twitchy and I would start wanting to design something. So having that time away from it really kind of makes me miss it and want to like create things. I've noticed that when we've gone on holiday, I'll always come back and have like a million ideas. How's Death Stranding's 2 title treatment? Do you mean the logo? I mean, this is kind of a good example of what I was saying earlier. I mean, look at it. It's a sans serif font. It's not particularly memorable. It's just got increased tracking and a big number 2. In fact, I don't even think it's centrally aligned. Holy crap. Oh my goodness. Unless my eyes are deceiving me, I hope they are. Flipping heck, this could be monumental. This could be this could be a breaking story right here if this is off. I hope it's my eyes that are off. As bad as that is for me, I really do hope. goodness. No, it's flipping off. The 2 is not in the middle. Unless I'm being crazy. Someone please tell me if I'm being crazy. Hang on. All right, let's... No, it's not flipping central. I need someone to make this make sense to me. Yeah, so the word death, that is central to the word stranding. That's good. The 2 is not central to either of those words. And then if I scale this up, yeah, the word 2 and on the beach is off center. So if I then adjust the 2, and stretch it out. No, it can't be that off. Surely not. I must be doing something wrong. There's no flipping way. Come on, Dan. You've got to have made a mistake here. Yeah, look. So you see that point there? That white square? That is your central point. So, as you can see, there's your center line. I wish I knew what this font was, actually. But we can do this with boxes. We can draw boxes around all the elements, and I'll show you the shift. So you can see how off things are. So we're just going to extend that out. Let's be fair, we're not going too far. There we go. There's that one. And then we'll bring this in. This one's pretty, yeah, pretty spot on. Right, so there's all the different elements. So if I then don't do that, let's... Hey, graph. Right. So this is the current position of all of the lettering. So you've got death, stranding, 2 on the beach. Okay. All of this is when you've got like a setup like this, if it's going to be pretty much almost exactly central, just make it central. Attention to detail. If you're going for something intentionally off and you want to offset things, make it look intentional. Don't make it look like a mistake. So now, if I will do this in, red. Red is for bad. And then we're going to do green. I can't believe that. That's crazy. This is content. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select everything and align it centrally and watch for the shift. This will show you how out of line things are. See that? That is perfectly central now. This isn't. Now, at the end of the day, does anyone really care? Will most people notice? Not necessarily, but this sort of attention to detail, like this is just a logo. If you've got this across like an entire poster design, there's, and you don't kind of, I don't want to say live and breathe this kind of stuff because you can, like I am especially obsessive over it. There you go. So you can see how, you can see where the errors are in terms of the alignment. But if you do live and breathe this stuff, don't get too obsessed with it. It can be very useful because, you know, you'll do something like this and you'll automatically just, oh yeah, I'm going to align everything. And it becomes automatic, aligning things correctly. And like I say, on this, it's quite subtle. But if you've got a poster design or you've got a, I don't know, like lots of text, especially with lots and lots of text, lots of content, that alignment becomes even more important, because the more content you've got, the more content you've got that could be misaligned, which is going to really stand out and make everything look messy. Whereas when you have like a lot of content, or maybe you've got like a page, a document with lots of tables, lots of numbers, it can look very busy and chaotic. And that organization, that alignment, and that consistent spacing between different elements, and having consistent margins on the left, right, at the top and the bottom, those little details can make lots of chaotic mess, for want of a better word, look a lot cleaner just by tidying things up. But yeah, you can see there, the biggest offender is the 2. It's, how far is it? 17 pixels to the right too far. And then you got the beach text a few pixels out. Yeah, you don't have to get too obsessed with this stuff, but like, to me, I've always been drawn to attention to detail. So that sort of stuff is, for me personally, is like automatic. It's like, it's almost like forgetting to breathe. It doesn't happen. I mean, it could happen actually. I could definitely forget to breathe. I could see that happening. That'd be a problem. Rakar says, no, you're right, Dan. Okay, good. Not gone completely bonkers. Oh, you play Minecraft? Connected with building structures. Nice. My son loves doing that as well. Helps to stay connected with my creative side. Oh, I mean, it does look a lot of fun. But lately I've been feeling like I'm not giving enough attention to my actual work. Every time I sit down to create something, it just doesn't feel creative enough. But after what you said, I'm going to try and shift my mind and get back on track. Yeah, what sort of work do you do, Tark? Just out of interest. Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, if you think about it, I don't know if this makes sense or not, but if you think about it, a lot of our ideas come from our brain. And when our brain is just full of crap and noise, and we're distracted and we're not focused and we're pulled all over the place, um, at least to me, it just makes sense that that would affect the creativity. Just to give you a good example, actually, there's a lot of times where I'll design something on stream and I get really, really good progress. And obviously, we've done quite a lot of this live. But when I go off stream and I then carry on with the work, that's usually, not all the time, but usually when my best ideas come and I make the most progress in a much shorter period of time. And I think it's because when I'm live now doing this, as much as I'm very relaxed and I enjoy this and I can just be my idiot self, like, my brain is thinking about teaching and I'm talking and do you know what I mean? I'm using more of my brain to do lots of different things as well as be creative. Whereas when I'm not streaming, I'm just music, headphones, in the zone, fully focused on creating. So I feel like that creative bandwidth gets stretched a bit. And I guess it's the same with life. When there's other things going on in your brain, in the background or whatever, I think maybe it does stretch that creative bandwidth a little bit. I got nothing to back that up. I'm not like a neuropsychologist or anything, but that's just kind of my uneducated perception on it from my own experience. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's very kind of you. Yay, I'm the best designer. 10 points. 10 points to Gryffindor. Send this clip to Kojima. Oh, I might, I mean, I think that's, I mean, maybe that's a good YouTube video. I don't know. It's one of those things I see a lot of people, like a mistake I see a lot of designers make when I do the design review stuff as well. And that's what I mentioned earlier. And that's why I like teaching it, because it's like, it's such an easy fix. A little bit more spacing, alignment, and just those little things can have such a massive impact on the end result. Okay. Ooh. Righty ho. That attention to detail has been super helpful when I've asked for advice. Yeah, and that, I mean, that's really good. I try. I try not to, like, I'm very, very obsessed with detail, and sometimes I've sort of got to try and remember um, that not everyone designs like that or wants to design like that. And I think as well, you know, if I were teaching a beginner, for example, it could be very easy to bombard them with so much stuff. Oh, you must align this, you must align that, you and it can just become overwhelming. And I think sometimes when you become too rigid like that, it can almost stifle that creativity a little bit. So, like, just to give you an example, there was someone who's a good friend of mine who I used to manage years ago, and one day she said to me, she's just like, you know, Dan, is it right if we have a chat? And we went into a meeting room, and she just said to me, like, you know, we were good friends, so it was fine, it was an easy conversation, you know, very just open and honest, but it was very much like, I feel like, I can't remember the wording she used, but it was like you're sort of nitpicking at a lot of little bits about my creative work, and just and it was sort of stifling letting her just kind of do it and own it in a sense. And it's really difficult because, you know, I would be picking up all of the little alignment things that I am talking about now, that I always go on about. Um, but to her, it wasn't something that she was really looking for when she was working on those designs. And it's really difficult as well. So it's, yeah, it's kind of when I'm talking to other designers about it, or if someone's new to design, you almost don't want to like bombard them with too much stuff and extinguish that creative flame. Um, just sort of try to steer it and just tidy little things up and just kind of help people understand that just by minimal effort, like the ROI on some of this stuff, the return on the investment of time is just so worth it, you know? Like if this is off and it's a bit sloppy, you just select it, yibosh, and it's just become 1,000% better. So it does make sense to at least have that in your mind, even if you are thinking, Dan, shut up, you detail obsessionist. Just be mindful of it. Um, because it's usually quite a quick and easy thing to do. That's why they're called design principles. Yeah, and I think as well, you know, principles, guidelines, you know, I think sometimes it's important to distinguish between those as well. Like, you know, some things are like more principally set in stone, and you probably better take this advice and whatever. And I think some guidelines or rules, or not the word rules, guidelines can be sort of bent and broken a bit more. And yeah, there's a little bit more wiggle room, you know, rather than like just putting everything in a box and everything has to be this way and that way, which is just a much more limited way of thinking. This is why I like it when I work with people and they send me their design work. And even if they've created something and they're looking at it and they're going, I don't like this, I don't think it's good, doesn't matter. As long as you've made something and you've sent it over, that's fine. It's oftentimes it's like, okay, you've got a good idea, but you just need to work on the technical execution and then just tidy things up a little bit. And that tidying up process is usually, you've probably seen it on the streams, it's just so easy to do as well. So it's just that technical execution, using the right tool for the right job, and then just a little bit of tidying up and rebalancing things. And that's just a lot of times all that a logo needs. And it makes such a big difference as well. That's what I like about the design reviews so much. It's just sometimes you can make such a small amount of little changes and suddenly the whole design becomes just, you know, a lot better. I like learning design in live this way. Like, it's not only I got the theory, but also real visual practice how to do it right. Yeah, it's, I mean, yeah, I love it as well. It's good fun. It's good fun. And if you are like, if you do want this sort of feedback and you want to learn like this, like I say this all the time, but for anyone who does enroll with my courses, I've got courses for Illustrator and Photoshop as well. You can check them out if you want. But I live in the Discord all the time. So if you get stuck, have a question about spacing or a logo, or you're working on something and you're like, is this good? Is it not? Can you let me know? Like, I'm there to support you basically. So I live in the Discord. And if not, fine, doesn't matter. We'll do these streams. And we'll keep on doing these streams. Right. I'm going to go and find Poppy now because I am really, really late. So yeah, hopefully I'll try and sneak a weekend one in if I can. But otherwise, I will catch you next week and I'll have to love you and leave you. Exactly. Spacing, balance, proximity, and all that stuff. I love it. All that stuff. Just etc. basically. Did you design the tattoo on your arm? I would love to say no, but I can't. No. I would love to say yes, but I can't. I mean, that would be lying. Could I lie? No, I don't like lying. Okay, I'm going to have to say no. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye!